Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Friday, and all of today's guests, including Brenden Dillon of the Jersey Devils, standing by, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Looking for a midweek escape close to home? BC residents save 15% on weekday stays at the Bayside in Parksville. Relax by the ocean, enjoy great dining, and unwind with island hospitality. Book now at Bayside.ResortParksville.com. Joined now by New Jersey Devils defenseman, the pride of Surrey.
Yes.
Rick, Brenden Dillon, coming off his first season in New Jersey. Canucks were interested in him, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. They made a mistake. They should have signed him, Don.
Brenden Dillon joining us now. Brenden, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Guys. Thanks for having me, as always.
I was looking at your hockey DB page, Brenden. Undrafted, 974 NHL games. Can you put into words just how proud you are of being so close to 1,000 NHL games?
It's funny. It's funny, Donnie. Like I look back and I was just hoping for one game, a couple of years ago, and even before I got into the Western League and got into pro hockey. I mean, I'm just so lucky, fortunate, and grateful to do what I do. It's when you go through the grind of a hockey season, it kind of gets lost in it, in the tough December through February stretch where, you're, tons of games, a short period of time, body's all banged up, all that stuff. To kind of look back and step back, I guess would be the right word, from the game and see, geez, how fun it is, how amazing it is. It just never feels like a job for me. And, when you say that, 974 games, it flies by, though. I'm sure every guy tells you.
And anytime we hear a story like this, when we have a guest with a story like yours on our show, we always ask them this question, Brenden. Do you have any message out there for kids who were passed over in the WHL draft or the NHL draft?
Well, I think for myself, just I'm living proof that you don't need to be drafted in any of those. Wasn't drafted in the Western League, wasn't drafted in the NHL. Ultimately, just you keep working at something, you're going to get rewarded at it. And I was, early on, I wasn't the biggest kid, I wasn't the fastest kid, and I had an unbelievable support staff. My parents, friends and family, everyone was so helpful with everything, whether it was driving me to this place or taking me to Hope, BC, or putting me in that Burnaby 8 rinks summer program, whatever it was to help me get better. I was so fortunate to have such a great support staff. So I think just ultimately, if you love something and you want to do, whether that's hockey, soccer, baseball, whatever it is, if you love something, you're going to want to get better at it. You're going to want to work hard at it. And I was just, again, very fortunate and lucky to do what I do.
Hey, Brenden, you talked earlier about your body getting banged up. Scary-looking injury for you. Game 1 of the playoffs against Carolina. I believe it was a neck injury. What can you tell people about your health right now?
Yeah, I'm on the road to recovery. I had to have a minor procedure done a couple days ago. It took a while to kind of just talk to all the different people, and we're very fortunate. And the New Jersey Devils organization as a whole has been unbelievable through this whole process. And they had their hands full with Jack and Luke and myself, and a bunch of us getting all banged up. And game 1 against Carolina was not nice to the Devils. Losing a few of us on the back end, but all in all, I'm on the road to recovery here. I feel great already, and I think for timelines and stuff, I'm definitely going to be ready to rock and roll for game 1 of next year, for training camp and all that sort of thing. So hockey, you forget that you're playing a fully physical sport. You're skating on 2 butter knives, and there's all these different injuries that can happen from it. So but it's a crazy game. You got to deal with injuries, and I'll be okay.
Hey, Brenden, we kind of noticed how great the atmosphere is in Dallas, Stars playoff games. You started your career in Dallas. What kind of hockey town was it when you were there? And look, it's pretty well evolved into a pretty good hockey place.
Unbelievable hockey place. I'm still really close with Jamie Benn, their captain, and a guy that's been there for, kind of when he got there, they hadn't made playoffs a few years in a row, and I was fortunate to be on the team in 2014 that had made the playoffs after however many years, and we ended up losing to Anaheim in the first round. But to see that barn rocking, it's such a sports town. You, of course, are competing with the Cowboys and the Texas Rangers and the Mavericks, and all those teams at one point or another have been elite. And I think for the Stars, they won the Cup back in '99. But just looking at some of the players they've had roll through, and it's kind of crazy to think back to when I was there, 12, 13 years ago. But it's a great place to play hockey. It's a great place to be a Dallas Star. You get treated really well in that organization. And I had that Pete DeBoer, the head coach there for 5 years in San Jose, and I'm definitely not shocked at the success they've been having. And of course, the team on the ice they've been to the conference final, I think, a couple of years, three out of the last four, 2 out of the last 3, whatever it is, and seem to be trending well.
Hey, speaking of San Jose, those teams were good. You guys went deep in the playoffs. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to go deep in the playoffs. Brenden, you see these guys, the injuries they play with. You see how tough the regular season, the grind is. Boy, when that team wins the Cup, they've had an outstanding year. But boy, is it hard winning that final round.
Oh, you need so many things to go right, I feel. I've been fortunate. I've been to the Cup final. Lost in 2016. I've been to 2 conference finals. The Sharks, I feel like for me was just you don't take for granted. But looking back, and I haven't been to a Cup final yet, since, and that's 9 years ago now. So, to have the right mix of players, to have injuries not happening throughout your lineup, to the coach that aligns with the makeup of your team, and your goaltender to be feeling it, special teams to be clicking at the rate. There's just so many different things that I feel have to be going right for your team. And even some of these, like you look at some of the first round matchups that went on, Colorado, Dallas, you could argue that's a conference final matchup right there. Florida, Toronto. I mean, there's just so many good matchups that are going on. And for myself, to the experience that I've had is just it's a war of attrition. It really is. And if you can get through the first round or 2 with no injuries, and with enough rest to whether that's winning it in 4 or 5 games or even 6, but it just helps so much at the end. And I think we've all heard that Paul Maurice, it doesn't matter right now in games 1 or 2, but we keep hitting, we keep forechecking, we keep wearing them down. By game 6 and 7, you're feeling it for sure.
Talking with Brenden Dillon. Brenden, you talked about these 2 gentlemen earlier. We have a pretty good idea of what their brother is like. What is it like to play with Jack and Luke Hughes?
Yeah, they're fantastic hockey players. I actually got to meet Quinn. He was out this year after the playoffs. He was kind of watching our playoffs and visiting with his brothers at the end of the year before going back to Michigan. And all 3 of them just great people. I think for Luke and Jack, they're getting to see them on the daily and how they are and how they've, you forget sometimes that they're really 23 and 21. They feel like Jack Hughes has been in the league already for 5-10 years. And they're elite players. Jack is just so deceptive, the way that he can just find his way out of any play. Doesn't matter how much pressure on him. Always seems to make the right play, in the offensive zone, and finding that guy that seems to be wide open. I mean, our power play, I think, finished top 3 or 4 in the league this year. And, you combine him with the Jesper Bratts of the world, and they're going to be having some success. And then on Luke, I got to know Luke and had a great relationship with him, especially in the back end. There's only 5 or 6 of us back there seeing each other every day and practicing and seeing just his elite. I mean, he's a horse. He's a couple inches bigger than Quinn and Jack. He's got so much room to grow into himself that his skating ability, and he's got a great stick. Really the sky is the limit, I feel like, for him. And to have his older brothers and Jack and Quinn to talk to and just skate with in the summers, and there's so much for him to learn from, and he's already well on his way to being an elite defenseman, that's for sure.
when Quinn was there with his brothers, did he happen to pop into the Devils front office by any chance, Brendan?
I didn't see him through there, and I don't want to be accused of any tampering.
Yeah,
I know for him. I mean, obviously, I'd love to have him on the back end here, but that's a Tom Fitzgerald and Jim Rutherford question.
Like you say, we're not going to try to get you in trouble. Hey, you signed that 3-year deal, Brendan. We heard a lot of talk? Did you come close to signing with the Canucks?
Yeah, it's a weird process, free agency. When you talk to players, and especially for me, it was my first time going through that whole thing. And I of course spend time in Vancouver in the summers, and I'm around a lot of the Canucks guys just when skates get there towards the end of August, and it's funny, right? Like at certain points, you almost feel like you're skating with the Canucks guys. Everyone's out here wearing Canucks stuff. You're kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing Canucks drills, and Yogi's running the skates, and you're kind of like, okay, this is a pretty good routine. And then the business stuff of it when it comes right around July 1st. I was very fortunate last summer when I was a free agent to talk to as many teams as I did, and it's a very it's an awesome process when you're able to, it's like the first time in your career you're hearing that you're like a good player, and like these guys all like you, and you're perfect, you're this. It's like, wow. Geez, I haven't heard that ever. But from the Canucks standpoint, I think they were going through things with Zadorov. I think at the time they were kind of some certain decisions they were making up front with forwards. And, the one thing, too, is you want to make sure that, you're not left without a seat at the table come, middle of July, end of July, August. And, Jersey from the forefront was very, what my role could be, who I could fit in with. The types of D partners that could be there for me. And, I was somebody that the way that I played the game, they didn't really have. And, I, of course, take a lot of pride in that, and just being, trying to be my best to provide some leadership and physicality and skating, and a guy that's been around a little bit. So, the Canucks, again, my career's not over, and maybe one day it'll work out. But, I definitely disappointed a few buddies of mine back in Surrey, BC, for sure, not signing that home.
I bet. Okay, and one more, Brendan, if you don't mind, quickly, but your Devils were knocked out by Carolina. Are you surprised just how they're being completely overpowered? I know they're the defending Stanley Cup champions, but it's stunning how they're being overpowered by the Panthers.
I mean, Florida is just, they're a wagon. You look at how this potentially could be a third straight trip to the Cup final, which is, you talk about teams like Tampa that, went there, I think, 3 times in a row, right? Didn't win the third. It's hard to do, kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Just with injuries and luck and goalie playing right, special teams. There's just so many things that need to go right, but I think they just continue to prove that, we of course played them a bunch during the season, and Florida, they play the physical brand of game. They're north-south. They get pucks in and forecheck the heck out of you, and it doesn't matter if it's, Sasha Barkov or it's AJ Greer. They're coming in, they're going to finish and put pressure on you, turn it over, and then create that chaos, throwing pucks to the net. And Carolina, I feel like they're probably the blessing and the curse of their team, right? Is everybody knows what they're going to do, and they know what they're going to do, but it's just hard to defend against. And, whether it's the speed thing or the physicality thing, I feel like Florida's just kind of got a little bit of everything that can counter that. And you throw in the depth aspect where, what a luxury to have Brad Marchand, Anton Lundell, and, Luosterainen on your third line. I mean, they've arguably at certain points been the best line throughout this series or even the playoffs for Florida. So it's Carolina's a great team, obviously really well coached, and they play to their identity and they play it well. But Florida's just been that next level for sure through these first 8 games. But that's part of the playoffs too, managing the highs and lows. You never know. They win one game in Florida, they're game 3, and find a way in game 4, and it's a brand new series. So it's been a lot of fun. I think playoffs this year in general have been just a blast to watch. And as a fan myself, I've been watching most of them, and still got buddies playing. And it's crazy. We're already here at the conference finals.
Brenden, have a great off season. Stay healthy, and congrats on 974, soon to be 1,000.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Donnie. Thanks, Dolly.
All right. Yeah.